Hello, this is Jack Downs with a video both for anybody who wants to review the picture page information I gave in class Tuesday on the 11th, and as an online lesson for what you're going to be doing in a class where I cannot attend, which is Thursday, April 13th. So it kind of combines those things together. So this is going to be some review. Which I suppose you could fast forward through if you've already feel comfortable with the general discussion of picture pages. There's not that much new information, but still I suggest that you listen through this. I'll try not to make it too long. And just to begin, as usual, as I do in class, let me just take a look at Moodle and say that on Tuesday I explained that your Helvetica photos were due, and wide open 2 and 3 were due. I have a number of people who have done the extra wide open for extra credit. That's still going to be open and available to you through the last day of class, but you could consider doing it while the stuff's handy. There's an explanation of that in the handout for that. And do next class work on picture pages. One is due on Thursday, actually, the class for which I'm making this video, and then another one is due in another week, roughly from then, and as is the final one, too. Helvetica one, sort of. Yeah, you can look at the due dates. But you're making a transition into these for just a couple of classes, and then moving on to page ones, and then we're going to move on to magazine stuff. If we look ahead to the message here for Thursday, yes, this is an online lesson in a working class. Please hope you take advantage of the time in our classroom to do some work. Picture page 1 was due. Due next class is a Helvetica picture page and picture page 2. Newspaper error page extra credit. Remember that extra credit would have been finding errors in the actual newspaper of the Press Republican in the news content. And I can tell you more about that if you've forgotten, but there was a handout that was mentioned. That is going to actually be available through the end of the semester. So that's another extra credit option. Okay, so there we are. That's the schedule. Let me move on to the instructions. In talking about picture pages, I showed a PDF, and here it is, which is actually available to you to look at. If you want to look at it while I speak, look at the actual PDF, which is there to download on Moodle in the presentations folder. I'm going to change this to full screen, which I think is that. Yeah, there it goes. And just say this is right out of your textbook, so you could look there also. Yes, they talk about your textbook author talks about the photo column or the photocentric story. That's truly part of this, okay? But what we're talking about is the photo page. The photo page. There's a lot of text there. I suggest you read it. You should have already read this out of your textbook, but just to review, why do we do photo pages? Well, in the average day-to-day news operation, photos often get pushed around by text, and stories come in longer than expected, and photos don't have that many people to speak out for them, to advocate for them, and less these days with the way staffing is in many publications, magazines, newspapers, and even web publications, fewer and fewer full-time photographers, or certainly fewer photo editors who would be there to advocate for photos. But the picture page or photo page is a place where photos shine, and all that's on the page is usually photos, captions, a headline, and maybe a text blurb or the start of a story. We do these for special events. It could be a serious event like a disaster and some striking photos from that, or it could be a fun event like a county fair. It could be a topic or trend. It could be profiling a person, usually if they're doing something, because one of the big things we have to watch out for with picture pages is photo redundancy. Too much repetition in the photos. So if it's about a person, it can't just be 5 pictures of that person. It has to be different photos of them doing things or different angles and so on. We could tell a story with a beginning, middle, and end, a process of some kind. It could be the process of somebody making something. It could even be involving a how-to kind of thing. It could be a display of objects or places, like go through a museum or something. So there's lots of reasons to do them. They're definitely different from the standard news layouts, as it says here. There's often we kind of relax the rules a little bit. We fill the page in a way, but we don't fill the page completely. We leave white space around the edges. And this first picture page given as example in the text is a good example of a pretty classic picture page. We have dominant art. We always have one piece of art. Is it always in the middle or the top or the bottom? No. That depends on the art and what you want to do. This one's right here in the middle. It's at least twice as big as the next biggest art. Okay, the photos should kind of work together and kind of move our eye through the photos. So it should be kind of like a flow to the photos. Any white space that is left, and there may be white space left, in other words, space without images, is left around the outsides, like this piece of white space here. Right here, you may say there's a lot of spacing, but you see that it's pretty uniform, the amounts there compared to here, compared to here. It's a lot, and that's okay, especially in the style of this paper. You can see some examples where the gutters are actually made wider too. You can use, every photo still has a caption, but they may appear on the side saddle, as this one is here. Okay, good. What else? So let's go on to the next one and talk about them a little bit. More examples from your text, which you can read about. This one is quite unusual in that there is no dominant art, but it's very different content. I think it works well for what it is, and you can read about it there. This is a more traditional kind of picture page here. This one's shown there. This is an exercise that your textbook author goes through, which is very revealing, I think, and useful to look at. He takes these 4 photos and makes a variety of possible picture pages with them. And you can see how they work. And none of them are bad. They're different. And I really think going through these and looking at them can help you. Notice that nowhere is there trapped white space. You could call a little bit there, and I would say that this headline should probably be flush with this edge of that photo there. But otherwise, generally the white space is on the outside, on the outside, on the outside, and not trapped in the middle. We want to avoid trapped white space, dominant art, and the flow of the images. Headline doesn't have to touch the top of the story. See this one? The headline's up here and the story's down here. We could break that rule. Photo credit is handled differently. Photo credit is handled as a piece of text someplace else. All the pictures, in most of these cases, in your examples, in the work you'll do, pictures are taken by the same person. Therefore, it doesn't make sense to have the same photo credit on every image. So we put no photo credit on the images and treat the photo credit like a byline or like a mini headline someplace on the page. So that should be your plan also. And you can read about how he characterizes these. And then there's troubleshooting, which is really worth reading. And there's some photo guidelines too. I think you really work with the photos. They're the things that drive this. And of course, this would be weak because, why? Well, because there's no dominant art in particular, right? And there is dominant art, and this is good, but you can sometimes make a picture page even better by removing a piece of art. Sometimes less is more, as he characterizes it here. Okay? We want to see contrast in shape and size. We want to see contrast in the way the content is treated, close crops, loose crops, and so on. I think this is a very interesting picture page to look at. Breaks some rules, but it's good. Put the dominant art at the bottom. This is kind of a process of making the body image art here. Everything, this stuff is definitely gridded. It's definitely on a grid. Also, there's discussion here about putting type on images or not. All right, you can definitely read that and should look about that. Headlines, usually there is a single big headline. I think it's good to actually put a headline on your page as you're starting, and you may change it, but it kind of like directs you. It could be, as you see, here across the page someplace, all across all the columns, or like back on these, it might be broken separately. All right, it could be a label-y head like these, or it could be a bit more of a head with this is an artistic kind of head, but it's definitely as a verb and it's a traditional format. In this case, the head's actually not giant because we're supposed to be paying attention to the images, not the headline, I guess is the idea. And then it goes on to talk about double trucks or other spreads where we have more things going on. And also talks about trapped white space. This would be an example of trapped white space here and here. So we turn things around and we push the white space to the outside. Okay. So there is my run through of the explanation. Again, this is in your textbook. And there are some links on the assignment too you could look at. Continue like that. Okay, so now I want to show you the assignment, and then I'm going to show you a little bit of a demo here. So let me get rid of this thing, and I'm going to close all the tabs. Whatever. Okay, good. And I want to go to the actual assignment. Picture pages 1 and 2. You have this, or I will attach it to this email, but I handed this out in class too. So here's your picture pages 1 and 2. Yes, there's some links you could look at that kind of go in addition to what I just showed you. So I'm giving you 3 chunks of content. And if you were in class, I handed you a big packet of this stuff. Otherwise, you get it all by downloading it from Moodle. So when you go to Moodle, you're going to go to the download the resource files for assignments, and you're going to see picture pages is there, and that's the zip folder you're going to download. When you do download it, the zip folder, remember you can double click on and extract it, or go into it with Windows Explorer and take the folder out, end up with this folder. You see there's 3 topics in here. Each one have more photos than you need, and they have cut line file and a story blurb file. Okay, so if I look at the boxing one, one good way to look at these images, of course you should have a handout with them, but if you don't have the handout or you'd rather, remember you can always view like extra large icons and look at them that way. And you can see there's quite a variety of images here. These 2 are kind of similar. You probably would only use one of those. These are both very interesting. You could imagine making this into like a real close-up perhaps. You may edit these photos as you see fit in InDesign, or probably, right? And I've given you cut lines there that you can use, and a piece of text also. Okay, and it's the same for the other ones, the other topics. So you're going to make, as the instructions explain, where are they? You're going to make 2 picture pages. One is a photo page with no story, no text blurb, but there's still captions for every photo and a headline. And the second one is going to also picking from this content is going to be one with a blurb. Now, in other words, you use Purim, Boxing, or Haiti for one of them, and then you use one of the remaining 2 for the other one. You don't use the same content in both pages, right? Okay, make sure that's clear. And then you go ahead and download the photos you've chosen. You got all the photos there. Just download the zip file. You have the whole thing. Each photo needs a cut line. You should assume you have to edit the cut lines pretty severely. There's probably a lot of repetition in the cut lines. You don't want to have the same cut lines say the same things over and over again, right? You can use a regular headline style. You could just grab a headline if you want off from one of our prepared boxes in the library. That's how I would do it. It's probably pretty big, 48 to 72 points. It doesn't have to be a single long headline. It could be a multi-deck headline. As an option, you can use a screen or a miter. Maybe I'll show you that in a few minutes. Or text on photos, potentially. But I think those things, I'm going to say if you want to play with them, fine. But you probably are going to stick to a pretty classic, traditional picture page as the ones I just showed you from the textbook. Be sure to use dominant art, use white space. Be sure to use the full width and height of the page, but you don't have to fill the page completely. There can be white space left, okay? And don't use more photos than you need to, and just use the best photos you think that work best together. You should assume there's going to be some time troubleshooting and working these around. And then, of course, the second one, the instructions are all the same, except you have to use a story. And I gave you the document. It says MS Word doc, but it's actually text files. Of course, you would still style it. And it may not have its own headline. Probably the headline, there will be a headline for the whole page, though. Could you use a secondary headline for this? Oh, I suppose. Could you edit it or shorten it a little bit if you need to? Yeah, you could do that, too. And which one is number 1, which one is number 2, I don't really care. Which one you use with a picture, or with a story or not, I don't really care. So that is that assignment. Okay, 2 picture pages due 2 different times. Good. So let's move on to my little demonstration I was going to give you. I'll have to pause here for a moment. Okay, I'm back again. So I have InDesign up, and I've got the Snake Boy photos. Just a few of them. I chose to do my demonstration, and I did this demonstration in class. I'm actually just kind of showing you the result of it. I have to redo it. How would I work out? How would I put that picture page together with this content? One thing is there is some repetition here, but I think these photos would be different enough that I think they could work out. All right. Notice that I've generally filled the page. However, I have left white space, definitely a lot of white space around here, and more than enough around here too. It could potentially put another headline on here, which helped to push that down and take up a little bit of this room, I would guess. Now this would be a picture page. Remember, I'll take the guides off. This is built around a main headline. I've chosen to make mine to go across most of the columns, and I changed it to italics. I think that worked for this. However, I think you could just as easily have reworked it, perhaps put these photos together, put the headline and multiple decks on top of this content, made this photo smaller, moved it to the side a little bit. You know, this could be reworked a number of ways. Notice that I did leave a little extra space around the top. Didn't have to, but I think a little extra air is fine. Notice this is the side saddle cut lines, we call these. Cut lines that go beside. I just grabbed cut lines out of the library. And I did not add the text, but you have to have real cut lines. Because I use a library, I had the inset built in, okay? But that means I'm trying to aim the bottom of this text to be the bottom of that, like that, right there. Good. How did I make this stuff go to the bottom? That's Control B, text frame options. A menu we've used before when we did inset, a menu that we use when we change the number of sticks in something, very powerful menu, which we also can change vertical justification. Make something go to the top, make something, which I think is the default position, make something go to the bottom. And you could do centering, but there's not much reason for that. See, by making this go to the bottom, I push the white space out around here as opposed to the top. So I like to try to connect my white space whenever possible. And I try to make this kind of grid-like. So this photo, which was harder to crop, I kind of just put a cut line across here. Where are my photo credits? I'm suggesting that they probably would go down here in a different way. Maybe a different font, maybe a different font, a little bigger than normal. Played with that a little bit. This one's the top. Notice that these side saddles that are on the left side, I've made them, and I'll put my cursor in here and show you. I've made them, and you'll find this on the paragraph side. Put my cursor over align right, which is the same as flush left. Now, if I were doing a side saddle cut line the other way, on the other side, I would make it go the other way. And you may say, well, that's not very legible. You know, making stuff that was ragged left, align right is one of the worst types of text to see, to read. If I put it over here, I would make it go like that, okay? And notice I also decided to go ragged on this text in here, as opposed to a regular body copy was justified. It kind of like makes the white space like flow around it a little better. So I put the ragged to the outside when I do side saddle cut lines. But remember, the thing about the ragged is you're only using a little bit of the ragged left. It's only a short, only like one sentence probably, right? So that's no big deal. So that's what I think about. So one of the photos is going to be by far the biggest. This one is here. And these photos have all been recropped somewhat too. This caption under the biggest photo is going to be the main caption. So I would definitely put all the background, a lot of the background information and other stuff in here. The other ones I would keep relatively short. And make sure that they're not just repetitive, saying exactly the same things too. Okay, so that is about it for that demonstration. Now let's move on to the new stuff. Okay, so you've done those, you did your 2 ones, now you're going to be working on the Helvetica one. The Helvetica picture page is a similar kind of operation. If we look at the assignment, we see that is not it. Oops, hold on just a minute here. Let me try to find a different one. And I may have to go get this someplace else. If I class assignments and handouts, let's see if I've got this handy. Helvetica picture page. Nope. Nope. Okay, let me just pause this. Okay, back again. Here's the assignment. Like picture pages 1 and 2, as it says here, we use a regular template, inside, so on and so forth. Photos are on Moodle. They're actually, the moment I'm speaking this, they are not there yet, but they will be. You will go to Moodle and you'll go to this folder, Helvetica Picture Page, and there will be a zip file in there. It will be photos that you and your classmates took, if you got me yours in time, and the captions to go with them, and a text blurb too. And there'll be way more than enough. What will they look like? I actually have a bunch of them right here. This is the kind of photos they're going to look like, Helvetica photos. And there'll be some additional ones too. You see there'll be a text blurb and a caption file, right? So my only rule, I don't think this is written in the assignment, but I don't want you to use more than one of your own photos. Don't use more than one of your own photos, assuming your photos are in this pile. And this pile will be bigger by the time you get it too. So there'll be more than enough photos. And lots of different shapes and sizes and so on too, right? And I probably will go through and straighten out the ones that are sideways and stuff like that. So there you go. So lots of pictures. And where is it? Okay, there it is. So again, you're going to create an attractive picture page based on the content. You must include a variety of picture shapes and sizes. How many pictures are going to use in any of these? I say you usually just use 4, 5, 6 maybe. Probably not more than that. Don't trap white space, space properly, guide the eye through it, use white space, pick dominant art, all those things. But you must use the Helvetica blurb. You must use the text. Or you could write your own if you want. Text that's applied on Moodle. You may edit it. You may write your own. But you must use this text blurb. So this definitely is one that has text with it. You have to have a headline. You have to have captions for each one, right? You have to have dominant art. The only other thing which is unusual is, although you're going to use the text and the headline and the captions, I want you to change all the text on the page. All the text on the page, I want you to make it Arial. Okay, that's the closest thing we have to Helvetica. That's the Windows version of Helvetica, is Arial. So make everything Arial. Notice that with Arial, you have a lot of choices. So I'm just going to select here. This is not Arial, by the way, because this is not that assignment. This is Franklin Gothic, which is another sans serif. But if we go look at Arial, we'll see that that under Arial there is actually all these choices: black, bold, italic, regular, bold, italic, so on and so forth. And actually, there's another choice under Arial. I'm not sure if you saw it. An Arial rounded, I think also Arial rounded, MT bold. But anyway, you'll probably just use one of the normal Arials there. So I want every bit of text on the page to be Arial. Okay, so that's it. So otherwise it's pretty basically the same ideas as a picture page with a blurb, text blurb, headline, cut lines, but all the text is Arial. Hope that you have fun with the picture pages. They're supposed to be a bit more abstract and expressive for you, and less puzzle-like. I'm afraid we'll take a brief switch back to puzzle-like stuff when we do page ones when I return next week. I will be around either in the morning on Thursday and certainly on Friday if you need help or have any questions.